This is when you do the dirty work. Your right pinky and left pinky are going to be doing most of the move during the shuffle. The other fingers are going to be used as cover from the front so the move cannot be seen. The right pinky goes on this packet up at the right corner, and the left pinky goes on the other corner. The fingers need to remain together so no windows can be seen. Then you're going to start to turn this packet. Your pinky is going to put pressure up and out. That's going to cause the cards to make an X formation, just like that. This is completely covered by your fingers, and this is greatly exaggerated. Once you're here, you're going to use the left pinky and thumb to straighten out this packet, slightly pulling it to the left. So you have a jog here. These cards are all over to the side. This is when you're going to do the strip out, and this is one of the most important parts of the shuffle. You're going to move your left hand slightly over so your ring finger and thumb grip this packet. Then with this packet, you're just going to move slightly over so your middle finger and thumb are over here. You're going to pull the packets out like this, and as soon as they clear each other, you're going to apply pressure to both packets to make it look as if you just give the cards a square cut. This is what the push-through looks like up to speed from behind. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the finesse on the push-through shuffle. And basically the real finesse here is making the end cut look legitimate. Darwin Ortiz gave me a good tip about this, and that is to give it a second when you've already pushed through. Give it a second and let it go through their minds that the shuffle is complete. At this point, they relax, and at that point, that's when you want to hit them with the strip out. And with the strip out, here's an important point on it. You always want to have pressure down on the deck when you're doing the strip out. You want to have pressure down on both packets, and you do this with the index finger. You push down on both packets like that. So it actually looks like this just comes off the top, and then you complete the shuffle. Because if you don't push down, you'll get this. Let me show you exactly what it looks like when you don't push down. And I'll pause right there for you. And this is where the move is really exposed. This is when people can determine whether it's a push-through or a real shuffle. You need to push down on these packets and complete the cut. So once again, up to speed, this is how your push-through should look. Another way a table riffle can be falsified is by doing what's called the zero shuffle. And this is a shuffle originated by Herb Zero, and it looks exactly like this. This is as taught as he teaches it in the video Herb Zero on the Zero Shuffle. And no cards change position during that shuffle. Okay, and the basic idea behind the Zero Shuffle is this. I'm pulling out the middle packet and putting it right back in the middle, but I'm adding a little juice to it to make it look good. The illusion is very strong. This is one of the only moves that went from the magic world to the gambling world. You pull over the center block to the right, and you hold a break with your left thumb. You know exactly where these cards came from. You pretend to square by tapping the decks together. You begin the shuffle by dropping some cards from the left packet first. 3 or 4 cards will do. Then you begin to shuffle fairly. Once you get to your break, you need to make sure that all these cards fall in. At that point, you continue the shuffle by letting the cards drop from your left hand. Once you square the cards, you'll see that the cards immediately become unlaced. At that point, you want to turn the cards in and square, just like that. Here's what the move looks like up to speed from behind. Not a card has changed place. Another variation of the zero shuffle, I'm just going to mention one that I like to do a lot, is pulling out and doing the shuffle in sequence of 2. And by doing this, you can eliminate the slip cut, which is a move that a lot of people don't like. You cut from the bottom over to the right and shuffle fairly, letting a block from the left fall first, as I explained in the push-through shuffle. And then as you're nearing the top, you want to hold back 3 cards on this packet, and then let this packet go right below it. You square up, unweaving, so the cards are no longer weaved at this point, and push in this packet below those 3 cards. Now as you're pushing through, you want to lift up slightly with your thumb on this packet that's going in to maintain a break there, same break that we talked about earlier. Then you want to pull the cards all under your break to the right and do the shuffle exactly again, just holding back 3 cards and interlacing like that. And that way the cards will retain the same order as well. It's a 2 shuffle sequence variation of the zero. This is another method to falsify a riffle shuffle, and it's called the spider shuffle, and it's an original shuffle in that I created it, and it looks exactly like this. And in that sequence, no cards change place. This is the explanation of the spider shuffle, and as you can see, you know why it's called the spider shuffle. That's because my hands are in this position, but that's very important to the shuffle. These are the exact mechanics of it. I break the top half over to the right. You then interlace, but just barely touch the cards together. You don't want them to be deep, like this. That will make the strip out much harder. You gently interlace the cards, and this is where the important part comes in, your finger placement. You're going to put your index fingers on the corners of the deck like this, and your thumbs directly behind. Then you're going to put these, your knuckles of your index fingers, together. That completely shields the move from the front. Then with your right thumb, you're going to pull out this deck and unweave it. The deck goes right on top of the left-hand packet. This is the position I'm in at this point. Remember, all fingers are on the table at this point. It's important that all fingers are on the table. That's the main part. Now, what's actually shielding the unweaving is this part right here, this connection right in between my fingers. That's what's actually shielding the move. And what's happening is this. I'm unlacing and then just placing on top. That's all that's really happening. But with that extra cover and all my fingers, it makes it look much busier, and also the fact that I'm faking resistance as I push in. I'm faking that there's something actually pushing against, when in actuality there's nothing. And that's what you really want to work on with this shuffle, is the hand placement. That's the most important thing of this shuffle, and that's the spider shuffle. False cuts are similar to false shuffles in the sense that the cards are apparently mixed when in actuality either one or all the cards maintain in the same position. These moves can be done during the shuffle to add to the deception, or can be done by a partner when the cards are passed for the cut. The first false cut we're going to do is called a scrape cut, and I love this cut because it's one of the most simple principles you could possibly imagine. As you can see, the card on top right now is the ace of spades, and the cut looks exactly like this. Square it up, and the ace of spades is on top. Actually, no cards change position at all during that cut. Once again, it looks exactly like this. Ace of spades still on top. And this is how the scrape cut works. All that's happening in this cut is I'm taking off the top half and placing it back on top. It's devious, I know, but this is how it works. The small finesses are what really makes this beautiful, and there's two of them that I really want to point out to you. One is the flashing of the bottom card of the top half. This is strong because it gives the illusion that those are coming from the bottom. Also, their eyes will immediately go to something new. So their eyes immediately go there, and that's when I drop this packet. And the sound attracts their attention there, and it looks like that packet actually came from the top as opposed to the bottom. Then I place them on top, slightly askew. This is an exaggeration. I'd probably place them about here and then square up. So once again, it looks like this. Notice also the finger position. They're covering the entire front of the deck, so that can't be seen. So you can't really see where those cards are coming from. They come off the top. I show, smack, askew, and square. And that's the scrape cut. This is the false strip incorporation with the push-through shuffle. It looks exactly like this. And no cards change position in that sequence. It's good because it's a one shuffle sequence. And this is exactly how it works. I'm pushing through exactly like I did in the push-through shuffle, but as opposed to doing this like I did in the explanation of the push-through shuffle, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm pushing through, and at this point, I'm stripping out the left packet as opposed to stripping out the right packet. I strip out the left packet. Once again, keep pressure down so they can't see the air in between the cards. And I'm pulling off the cards, off the bottom as opposed to the top. If I was pulling off the top, it would be a legitimate shuffle, and a lot of people strip cards like that. But with this technique, I'm not actually changing the card of any position in the deck. Okay, I told you earlier when we were talking about controlling a top stock that I was going to explain the slip cut, and this is the cut you want to learn for that. And this is what the slip cut looks like. Card on top is the ace of spades. So remember that card. I know it's hard. Give the cards a shuffle, and then a cut. and the ace of spades is still on top. And the way the slip cut is done is with pressure applied to the top of the deck, the top card, it slides off along with the bottom card. If I didn't slide that top card off, the cut would look exactly like this. Pretty lame. When I put a pressure down on top of the deck, that top card slides with the bottom so that it looks like that packet actually comes from the top. When in actuality, I'm only displacing one card every time I do this cut. So once again, you can see the king. I'll keep it face up so you can see what's happening. I shuffle one card on top. We'll talk more about holding back cards and riffle stacking. Square up fairly, and then draw that one card off that packet and place it back on top like that. That's the slip cut. Now we're going to talk about some multiple packet cuts. They're also called jigsaw cuts because it's like I'm taking a jigsaw puzzle apart and putting it back together in the same position. So as an illustration, we'll have the ace of spades on top and the king of diamonds on the bottom. So this is what the cut looks like as described by Erdnase. And as you can see, the ace is still on top, king is still on bottom, and actually all the cards stay in the same position. Okay, the explanation for the jigsaw cut that I showed you is actually explained in Expert at the Card Table, and this is the exact handling of it. I don't see people do this very often in actual games because it's fancy, and when it's fancy it attracts attention. So it's not a good idea to pull out any Capasso cuts on the card table, but this is how it looks. I'm undercutting about a third of the deck this time. I'm undercutting about a third, placing that up. It's up at an angle. You see how that's kind of facing out. And then I pick up with my ring finger about half of the deck that remains. Slide both of these out, place the left-hand packet and then the right-hand packet on top, and that retains the cards in the position. So once again, I undercut about a third, grab half the top with my ring finger and my thumb, slide these two out, place left on top and then right on top to retain the position of every card in the deck. The next false cut we're going to talk about is an up-the-ladder cut, and an up-the-ladder cut looks just like this. And it imitates a strip motion, but as you can see, no cards change place at all in an up-the-ladder cut. A lot of people like adding this to their shuffles. Now I'm going to explain the up-the-ladder cut. Basically what's happening in the up-the-ladder cut is you're taking the top half and taking the bottom packets and putting them right back on top of the bottom pack, just putting them back in the order that they were originally in. So to start off, you're going to cut with your middle finger up about half of the deck and slide it over to the right. So you just got about a half of an inch over here, and you're covering that with your hands. So right now they can only see this. You're going to take this packet that's side jogged right now and break it in half. You're going to lift up with your left thumb and break that packet in half and slide out the bottom of the top half and place it right back on top, aligned with that bottom packet. As you can see right there, it's aligned with the bottom packet. Then I'm going to pull out this, which was originally the top of the deck, and do the same sequence again. I'm going to break this in half, slide out the bottom, place it aligned with the rest of the deck, and then slide out. So once you do this up to speed, it should look like that. And every card maintains the same position. Stacking is a method of secretly arranging the cards desirable to the cheat. By stacking, the cheat can ensure that the best cards either go to him or his partner. Stacking is a great way of cheating during a straight deal. Okay, this is the easiest method of stacking. This is called lay stacking. We're going to assume that this hand was just played exactly like this. So now it's my turn to deal. So I'm going to collect the cards just like this. And if I collected them in a manner so that I will receive the jacks during this deal, assuming that I'm dealing. Right now I'm controlling the top stock with a slip cut, as I explained earlier. So I'm dealing out 1, 2, 3. This should be a jack. 1, 2, 3, and this should be